help. The Chicago Cubs need help. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, to another episode right here on the network. Now, listen, guys, the Chicago Cubs do go ahead and drop a game to the Atlanta Braves. Their now third straight loss in a row. And it's unfortunate that it happened this way, but again, we knew that this Brave series was going to be tough. This was not going to be a gimme series. This was not going to be a walk in the park. You have a couple of those coming up here in a few, but for this series, like I said, the Chicago Cubs are going to find themselves in a dogfight, and they're going to have to figure out a way to muster up some runs because you are facing probably the best team this side of the Dodgers in baseball. I mean, like I said, the Atlanta Braves are a really good baseball team. And here's the thing: it's not the stars that beat you with the Atlanta Braves. It's the everyday guys. I mean, like I said, you know what? In this game alone, they're for the Atlanta Braves. We'll just read their tagline for you of what they did in this game because it was pretty well. I mean, like I said, they hit the ball hard and they hit the ball a lot. They got 11 hits in this game, scored 5 runs in this game. Chicago Cubs only got 1 hit in this game, and that was the home run from Alex Bregman. And they scored 2 runs in the game. So, I mean, like I said, the Chicago Cubs right now are scuffling offensively. Here's the thing. I expect the Chicago Cubs offense to waver a little bit and have some issues at times. Now, I'm not expecting it to be months long like it was last year, where it was like, I mean, they were scuffling. But at the same time, just with the makeup of their offense and the way things are going, if they can't get hits and if they aren't taking their walks, if they're getting struck out, it's gonna be a long game. It's gonna be a long series. But when they're patient at the plate, they take their walks, and then somebody comes through with a big hit or are able to walk in a run or something like that, you kind of get momentum going your way. Also, the Chicago Cubs need to they have to figure out what they're doing offensively when things aren't going right. Now, again, we saw the trend started to happen even when they were on this 10-game win streak, on their last 10-game win streak, where they were struggling at points to score runs. Those runs were coming late in the game. Those weren't, like I said, the Chicago Cubs were leading and the other team came back. It was really a lot of those games, the Chicago Cubs were down and had to fight their way back into those games. And at the time, when they're coming back and winning, we admired the fight, right? But when they're losing and they don't have any fight, well, then we have a different story to talk about. And that's kind of what we're looking at now with the Chicago Cubs. They're just at a point where they aren't scoring enough runs. That's why this episode is titled No Runs Equals No Wins. You look at how the Texas Rangers blanked them the last 2 games of their series, and then you turn around and now you're playing up against the Atlanta Braves, and the Atlanta Braves would have blanked you outside of one ball that just got way up high up in the zone, and Alex Bregman hit that ball hard as hell right over into left field, and it left the field. I mean, but outside of that, you look at the way the Chicago Cubs offensively have played, and it's unacceptable for the type of talent that you have. To have Seiya Suzuki go 0 for 3 in this game, to have Michael Conforto go 0 for 3 in this game, to have Nico Horner, who's come back down to earth, 0 for 3 in this game. Moises Ballesteros hit a couple hard balls, but went 0 for 3. Dansby Swanson, you're home in Atlanta. You are home in Georgia. You're a Georgia boy, and you go to Atlanta and you play like shit. Not crap, shit. In Atlanta. I mean, that's not commendable, sir. offensively. PCA, you go 0 for 3. James Swanson with this 0 for game, you're back under 200 for your batting average for the season. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, you expect Ian Happ to waver a little bit. But you're going to look at this and you're going to say to yourself, the Chicago Cubs have got to figure out consistency when it comes to offense. Point blank period. You got to come up with some type of consistency when it comes to the offense. You cannot go out here and expect to beat premier teams. You guys got Milwaukee coming up next week after you get done with the White Sox. You cannot go into that series just thinking that Milwaukee's going to let you waltz in there and just win a series. You're going to have to beat them. You're going to have to take that series from them, and it's going to be a dogfight. Your next series is you got White Sox this weekend. Then you turn around and you face Milwaukee 3 times. Then you turn around and you face the Astros after that 3 times. And then you face the Pirates after that for a 4-game set. And then you face the Cardinals. You're facing, outside of the Astros and the White Sox, you're facing all winning ball clubs. And you're going to have to figure out a way how to beat them. And your offense is a big part of it. But again, just like we gave you guys credit for manufacturing runs and for figuring out a way how to come up with wins against the Reds and against that first game against the Rangers, you're gonna have to do that again when things aren't going your way. You can't just keep swinging away. You got to be patient at the plate, and you got to take it easy. You got to show plate patience and discipline, and take it easy, and stop just swinging at everything. I mean, like I said, I saw a lot of balls outside the zone. I saw the Chicago Cubs chase a lot tonight, and it just didn't look good. Didn't look good. Didn't look good at all. And I do not like the Atlanta Braves. I don't. I don't like them as a matchup for the Chicago Cubs. I don't like them as a team. I think that Atlanta is always a tough out for Chicago, especially when they go to Atlanta to play. The Cubs rarely win in Atlanta. I mean, like I said, I personally, and this is just me, I would feel good if the Chicago Cubs take 1 in this series, because it's tough, man. It's tough playing Atlanta. It just is. It's tough beating Atlanta in Atlanta. Atlanta's only dropped 1 series this whole entire season. So I mean, like I said, you look at that and you say to yourself, you got a hell of a uphill battle. Luckily for us, pitching wise, the Chicago Cubs do have Shota Imanaga on the mound going at 6:15 on Wednesday, going up against these same Atlanta Braves. It'll be Shota Imanaga pitching for the Chicago Cubs, going up against J.R. Ritchie for the Atlanta Braves. J.R. Ritchie with the 1-0 record with a 3.63 ERA. Shota Imanaga 4-2 with a 2.28 ERA. Now, this is a trap game for Shota, because this is very well a game that he could find himself getting hit all over the park. So it's important in this game that Shota has command of his pitches and that he looks dominant from the start, because otherwise it's going to be another long game. And this Atlanta Braves team is patient. They ain't going to be swinging at everything, swinging and missing at everything. So it's important that Shota come out there with his A game, and he has command of the strike zone, and he's nailing his pitches. If he does that, he should have a good game, But like I said, we'll just have to see what happens. The Atlanta Braves just have had the Chicago Cubs number. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with that. But I also want to talk about Colin Ray. I want to give Colin Ray props. I like Colin Ray. I like what he brings to the Chicago Cubs. I like Colin Ray even more coming out of the bullpen than I do as a starter. Now, again, this is why I think a lot of people are expecting the Chicago Cubs to make a trade or multiple trades before it's all said and done, possibly even before the trade deadline even hits. Because, and that's why all these rumors are swirling, which we'll get to a couple here in a few, but all these rumors are swirling because guys like Colin Ray, guys like Javier Assad, they're fringe starters. They're guys that, can come in and spot start for you. They're guys that can come in and give you a game or two or three or four. I mean, what Colin Ray did last year, what he did last season for the Chicago Cubs was nothing short of miraculous. That wasn't supposed to happen like that, guys. He was not supposed to be able to come in and be able to give you what he gave you. But he did. And we're thankful for it. But again, I don't expect him to repeat that all over again. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Chicago Cubs absolutely have to go out and make trades for pitching because, again, the Chicago Cubs cannot expect, with the makeup of their team and with Seiya Suzuki being your best pure hitter outside of Moises Ballesteros potentially once he figures it out again, you can't expect the Chicago Cubs to win a lot of games if these guys are going to be your pitchers because they're prone to giving up at least 2 to 3 runs. And if the Chicago Cubs can't get those runs back or keep you in the game long enough to sustain a lead with scoring runs, then I mean, you're screwed. So when you look at it like that, you say to yourself, the Chicago Cubs absolutely have to go out and get better pitching. And that's not to say Colin Ray is a bad pitcher, because he ain't. He's just not a guy that I believe on a championship level you could send out there and win a series on the back of Colin Ray. He's a guy that can come in and eat up innings for you. He's a guy that can be dependable, that can give you spot starts. But if you want to contend with the Dodgers, if you want to contend with the Atlanta Braves, you're going to need to go find you somebody else that can come in and pitch one heck of a game for you. Now, with that being said, let us go back to Miami, because once again, the rumor mill is back swirling that the Chicago Cubs are checking in on Sandy Alcantara. That's right. Alcantara has looked pretty good this season again, with a 3.90 ERA, mostly on the strength of weak contact quality. His strikeout rate, however, has been pretty abysmal, but the velocity is there and the upside is there, and the results have been strong. He's also gobbling up a ton of innings so far this season. He's pitched 57 2/3 innings, second most in the MLB. And that's definitely something that the Cubs can use. Plus, Alcantara comes with a $21 million club option for next season. Generally speaking, I think the Cubs would strongly prefer to get a pitcher with multiple years of control because of the impending exits of Shota Imanaga, Jameson Taillon, and Matthew Boyd, plus the fact that Cade Horton won't be back until mid-season 2027 at best, and that's even if we have a season next season. So the Chicago Cubs have been looking at Sandy Alcantara. Again, they've been talking about Sandy Alcantara. We also have heard that the Chicago Cubs are looking at potentially making a trade for Freddie Peralta, which I've talked about before. I won't dive into him again. And the name Logan Webb has been pushed around, and of course, Robbie Ray. These are all conversations that have been had already. The Chicago Cubs just got to figure out what they want to do and where they want to go. So, like I said, for me, I just want the Chicago Cubs to get somebody that's stable. Out of those guys, I mean, the one that I think that you could probably benefit from the most is probably Sandy Alcantara. And the only reason I say that is because he brings what Edward Cabrera could potentially, whatever Edward Cabrera can bring to a team too, and that's somebody that can throw the heat with a good fastball and somebody that can induce strikeouts. Even though he isn't right now, we get him inside of our clubhouse. We get him with Tommy Hotovy. We get him with our training staff, and we tweak a couple things, and we figure out what's going on with Sandy and how we can get him right on track with striking guys out. But again, the weak contact, I'll take that too. I mean, really, that's what you're getting from Shota Imanaga this year, and it works. The weak contact, the ground balls, and with the way our defense plays in the infield, I'm not worried about that at all. We'll get all those outs. So, again, the Chicago Cubs need to build up their roster on the pitching side. We have lost so much, and we do not have the room or the availability to lose anymore. Guys like Colin Ray are good. And again, they we thank them for what they're doing, but he's much better served coming out of the bullpen, him and Javier Assad. But listen, that's my episode for today. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And hey, leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the Chicago Cubs? And again, dropping 3 straight on Colin Ray being a better bullpen guy than a guy that's a starter. And of course, the trade rumor mill has been jumping with the Chicago Cubs because they're winning and because they're looking like a contender. They need to get starting pitching. Who do you want the Chicago Cubs to go after? Let me know, and I will cover it right here on the channel. I appreciate you guys so much. Until next time, go Cubs, go.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.